Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Yes, you are. And this is episode 282 of our podcast.
Like what's the word called where it's like race cars, same forwards and backwards?
Cool.
I know. You're
right. It does start with a P.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's what this is.
282 of Forever Exiled. Big shout out to our patrons. Thank you, Brandon, for signing up this week, and everybody who resubbed up. We love your faces. Patreon gets you access to our After Dark. It's our podcast after the podcast. We just keep rolling. And also, I just want to say a very big special thank you to Brandon, because when people sign up for Patreon, I message them every time. And do you know how many people write me back? A big fat zero. I feel like people are like, I don't want to talk to you. Get out of here. Just let me consume your content. And Brandon, though, I had a conversation. So thank you, Brandon. Made me feel good.
It was very nice words, Brandon. Thank you.
Yeah.
But don't ever anybody feel obligated.
Absolutely feel obligated. It's like a slap in the face.
It's not. Dude, you know how out of the way Patreon is for me?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I don't even listen to Patreon
on
episodes on Patreon.
Do you?
Right?
You do?
No, I don't.
Oh, no, I don't either.
So it's always like, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I don't know how they get notified. I have the app only for that purpose. So I get notified when somebody signs up, so I can say a hello and a thank you. But yeah, thank you to everybody who subbed up this week. You rock, and our Discord rocks. Speaking of rocking, if you're not in our Discord, you should be in there. Very fun. It has been a very busy week in Discord, and I have been so busy I am not caught up at all. Almost every single channel has a white dot for me. So at some point, when people tag me, I tend to see them, but yeah, catching up on that's going to take me a minute. But yeah, hop into our Discord. Links are everywhere. You can find it.
Yeah. And speaking of 2121, so people, they asked to join.
That's our global.
Yes, it is. It's our global. And for anyone who just wants to hang out in game, that's where we hang out. We've had some people asking to become a part of our guilds. If you just want to hang out with us in game as well, you can join our Discord, and there's guild. It's not like an application. We're going to accept you just show up, say, hey, this is my character name, and we'll put you in. And so anyway, there's been some people like, hey, yeah, for PoE 2, or we'd like to be a part of the PoE 1 guild. And so somebody wanted to be a part of the PoE 1 guild, and I went to go add them. And there's a conversation happening in Global 2121 in PoE 1, and I'm like, no, that doesn't look like our people. They're not talking like the people that would normally hang out with us.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but I was thinking about previously when there was a lull in the league, I signed in and I had to double check, because console, there's issues like it'll just randomly sign you out of whatever global you're at. So I always have to double check, and it is a pain. And so anyway, I'm like, hi everyone, and like,
you're in the wrong one.
Like, yeah, but I wasn't. And then it was hilarious because this is a few months ago, but then all of a sudden there was this big onslaught of people because there was some sort of release or something. And there's like, they just got inundated with FE people on 2121. So I'm seeing these people as I add someone to the guild, and here I'm like, oh man, no, these guys are 2121's going to all of a sudden there again. But this was in PoE 2 because there's been a lull on PoE 2. And so now when people come back from whenever the 0.2 patch comes out, I was just laughing about what this, like, they just found a safe little spot where nobody's hanging out right now in 2121. Anyway, surprise.
Yeah, I like 2121. It's a good place.
Yeah, but if you're new to the podcast, if you're just showing up, welcome. We're an audio only podcast, and we're just two buds just having a chat. Justin and I, we don't get to hang out as often as we like, so we use this episode or our podcast to catch up, and then of course chat about our favorite game.
Indeed. And also welcome to the last day of Tyler's birthday month celebration. February 28th, it's coming to an end, Ty. It's been a good birthday month though.
You know what? The giggles are, neither of us are birthday people.
Not at all.
And Justin's
I just had fun with it. I don't know why it started.
I'm that like, hey, everybody, look at me. It's my birthday. Yep. Though that is thanks to the Grandmaster in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That is an excellent birthday. It's my birthday. when they go on a ship, they're trying to escape.
Nah, I saw it.
It's like an orgy ship.
I'm sure it was good. Probably enjoyed it in the moment, but I don't remember. How's your week, buddy?
Oh, it's been a very productive week from hell.
Okay. That doesn't.
Yeah. So I went to IKEA with my mom, went on a nice mother-son date a week or two ago. IKEA's and that was nice. Yeah, it was a bit ago. And so we got to hang out and stuff. And I, for my IKEA trips, typically now they're just like, I got to make decisions when I come back home. I can't really yes, that's perfect. Nothing at IKEA is perfect. You have to rearrange your house a little bit to make IKEA perfect. But where else are you going to find something for that price/quality combo? And it's like, okay, well, I am going to revolve my house around IKEA. So I go, I see everything, I write down all the garbage, and then I come home and I'm like, how can I make this work? My daughter is in a situation where she's just the kid with the smallest room, which is even smaller than the rooms that we had. And so we're desperately trying to make that work because she just has not had space to put things. Things are just random. It's always chaos. And I feel bad. It's not her fault. We've been trying to work at that for forever. So finally we just bit the bullet and we spent the money. We've been saving for it, but yeah, it was finally time to actually get it done. And so we did it and we ordered like a bunch of stuff. But then we were like, okay, so we're doing it for Oliver. I know we're penny pinching, we're doing this for Violet's room, right? So we got her a new bed, new bookshelf, and a new desk, right? Cool. All to fit like perfectly in the bed and desk. Those measurements better be right. And you know what it is with IKEA, but I'm like, we're talking like a centimeter on each side. If this doesn't work, we're like, oh man, the desk doesn't even fit. So anyway, it better work. But then we're like, all right, you know what? Let's take advantage and do Oliver's room as well, our son. And so we got him a new bed and the same matching desk.
Oh, cool.
And then my mom she's desperately trying to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff since dad died, I don't know, like years ago now, but you know, it takes time to get rid of things. And so she's getting rid of a few bookshelves and they were the same color that Oliver wanted, their IKEA bookshelves too. So we're like, yeah, okay, sweet. So then we do that. And so he has the big room, which is like double her size, and she has the small room. And one thing that as parents, it's kind of like, well, you can't justify it. Like you just have to give a room to a kid and another one to another one. And the one that has the small room, like they're both wonderfully kind and gentle hearted and always giving to each other. But our daughter's the kind of person where it's like, she feels good when she knows she's giving something. And every day she feels like she's giving the big room to her brother. So, you know, that's just how that worked out. But he does have the big room. And so we're like, okay, well, how do we make this even without like rubbing it in her face long term? So he has space. Like he can choose he can put the bed in this corner or this corner or this corner. Like he has the space to reorganize stuff. Whereas my daughter, this is the way the room has to be. Yeah. Right. Otherwise we have to knock down walls and that's never going to happen. So we bought Oliver the same bed. We didn't give him a choice. And we bought him the same size desk, even though his room could easily hold a much bigger desk. And so we're kind of doing those things to make it even. And but anyway, you know me, I'm heavily concussed. It's there permanently.
Build it.
Yes, Justin. Yes. And it like my symptoms, I'm just constantly degrading. That's fine. Like these aren't complaints. This is my life. But to manage my injuries and my concussion stuff, I have a very strict regiment for how and when I do things. That includes grocery shopping. That includes when I do the dishwasher with all the bending up and down. And I can't do the dishwasher and vacuum with our heavy vacuum within like the same hour. I can't eat before going for a big drive. It gets nauseous. So, you know, just like all those things, like that's just how picky I need to be. And so I'm ready. I'm prepared, right? Our delivery is showing up on Wednesday and it's like, yeah, this is the day. I cleared out the living room, right? Pushed everything to uncomfortable places so that the delivery people could shove them there. They did not give a crap, man. They put out half the stuff outside on the steps. And I'm like, you know, you got to bring them in. Like it might rain. And they're like, well, we got to go. And I'm like, well, bring them in. And I'm like, can you bring them upstairs? They put them just at the entranceway. And we have a split entryway. So there's no space. There's no room. All they did. And like, we're talking like 2 beds, a bookshelf, 2 desks, and then stuff that goes with that. Why would they only bring it there? I don't know. Every other time they've brought it to, is there a room you want us to bring this to?
Sure.
I don't have the strength for this. What if I was like 80 years old?
Kind of are.
I am. But that, so, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then they take a picture and go. They don't even say goodbye. There was nothing. So anyway, I let them have it on their survey. You bet your buns. The second that email came in, I stopped everything I was doing. I'm like, kids, shut up.
Oh, you want to know? All right.
Yeah. Anything we can do better? Frowny face, frowny face, frowny face. You betcha. So anyway, but I had to bring all that stuff upstairs, which already shot me. I shouldn't have been able to do it. I'm not allowed to lift, like, the doctor tells me I'm not allowed to do push-ups, sit-ups, anything with my neck, let alone my concussion stuff. So I have to bring those upstairs, but then I got to start building everything. But then there's like taking down my daughter's bunk bed and moving the books around and the shelves. Like, it's not just building. Now it's moving around all this other heavy furniture that I shouldn't be doing. And so it's been, so that happened Wednesday. Today's Friday. So it was all day Wednesday, all day Thursday. And like, I am just loaded up on pain drugs so I don't feel it. And I'm falling asleep. Like, the second it's time to say goodnight to the kids, good night, kids, I'm asleep. And then I'm waking up at my alarm 12 hours later. I'm like, oh man, another day. So this has been a nice breath of fresh air, Justin, hanging out with you.
But you
and
got it all
so that
done.
I'm
nice job.
Cognizant. Oh yeah. Like we've been spending money on takeout too, because I cannot cook.
Sure.
Not safely, not like paying attention and not tripping over something, or not paying attention, forgetting to move this over before I pour boiling water out of here. And like, I can't. So we've been getting takeout or super, super simple meals. And like, the kitchen's loaded with like portions of the bed frames from Violet's old bed, because we have nowhere to put it. Right. Like, IKEA comes in these nice, comfortable boxes. Right. But now it's like, when I'm moving the furniture out that was already there, I'm like, I need space for that. We don't have space for that. So, I mean, it's all planned, but it's all a lot.
Are you waiting to get rid of all that stuff?
When?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going in the garage, and we're going to, hopefully somebody wants it. Otherwise, we're just going to call like places like Bibles for Missions or Salvation Army. They'll come and, as long as it's good. Like, we're not giving away a mattress, which is nice, but they're really picky about the nasty stuff. But they'd be good with just like solid frames and things like that, so they could do that too. Cool. I'm like you in terms of like, just get it out. You know what I mean? Yep. I'd prefer to donate it than junk it, but the sooner it's out, the better. So it's been that kind of week, but so that I was coherent and able to do sentences without slurring and saying the proper words. I didn't even do any work this morning. I was playing Age of Empires while I waited for you to finish up your stuff.
Is that the spreadsheet you were working on?
Well,
is the Age of Empires spreadsheet? I didn't ask you.
I have such a hard time with, like, well, because I want to stop at a certain amount of villagers, right? You have a 200 population cap. So I like having 100 units, but then 10 siege. But the siege cost 3 population units each. So I like having 70 villagers. So then I'm like, I'm planning as I'm leveling up, I'm like, or aging up, I'm like, how many villagers will I need on food? Not while I'm leveling, because the ratios are different, but what's the percentage that I need on food, wood, and gold as I go through? And then it's going to change because I run out of gold, but I play on a map where there's no trade routes. So I have to plan around not using gold eventually when I run out. So I'm like, well, what do I want the ratios? I don't want to just play with it. I want to know. So then as soon as that happens, I'm like, and I make the changes and it's good. So I have to make a spreadsheet on how all my units cost, how many I want at a time when I'm building them. And so how many villagers should there be on a resource at a given time?
Of course.
So the functions are in, man. That's good. I'm ready.
I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, I've had a good time, and thank you for the morning off. I'll get back to it after we're finished recording, but thank you for the morning off.
Cool.
How are you?
Better than I was last week.
Yeah, you had a rough week
last week was awful. Thanks for all the messages. Actually, that was really kind of people to reach out and say, haha. But this week's been way better. We finished. It was brutal because we finished recording. I had to do everything Friday because Saturday I was gone into Vancouver all day and all night. We stayed out there. That was really rough. I had to go because it was work related, but I did not last. Christina and I had to leave the event pretty early because I just couldn't function. And then I spent no time sleeping Saturday night because I was stressed out because we had a big event on Monday. Our AGM was on Monday and I had not prepared because I was sick. So that meant my whole day Sunday was working. And then Monday we had our big event and I was in the shower Monday and I had a moment where I was like, man, this week has just been exhausting. Like, I'm so tired. And it took about 10 more seconds for it to sink in that it was just Monday and that my week had just started because I just didn't stop. But otherwise, it was a very productive week. It was very, very busy. I have not slowed down since. I thought things would chill out for a little bit. I tried to take some time off on Tuesday and that lasted for about an hour. And then I'm going to be working this weekend because we did another acquisition in one of the cities nearby. So I've got to go out there and get stuff prepped for next week. So,
oh, cool. Congrats.
Yeah, it's been it's been a fine week. I haven't done anything but work.
Waiting for it to end.
Yeah, it's fun. Christina's out on a field trip today with our youngest. She always likes to go a couple times at least with each of the kids.
She
loves that.
Not any.
Frick no. Jeez, that would be my nightmare. You want me to be responsible for other kids? No, thank you. I just don't have any interest. But she loves that.
All it takes for me is one kid to like yell really loud out of nowhere in my ear. And I'm like, okay, well, all the kids are on their own. I'm out. I'm passed out. See you guys.
No, that's not a me thing. That's definitely her thing. She loves doing that. So she's off doing that today. And went and saw, I was actually filming to a career fair with Logan yesterday. So that was fun. Just, he wanted to get some ideas and we're going to go to another one in October. So that's,
Is it done through the school or they're just done through
it's just
communities?
It's just ones that we, universities in different areas, different cities around us are doing. So we went and checked some of them out and, he's definitely got like a technology mind and he's extremely good at math. So he's got a good brain for whatever he wants to get into. And so we're looking at these different options he's got if he wants to go to school for them. So
streaming.
That's not happening. He's still got 2 more years of high school anyway, but it's good that he's looking into it. So it was cool. A good week. It was a lot of stuff got done, but I'm just tired. But I thank God, I'm so happy to feel better. Wednesday was the first day where I woke up and actually felt good. I wasn't tired in my head and pressure and sinusy and everything. I still got like the cough. I swear it's just never going to go away from what I'm talking to everybody around me. It sounds like I'm going to just have it for the rest of my life. But I'll take
sense.
That.
You're old now too.
No, I'm not. I refuse. I'm not being old.
I don't accept my age.
Nope. Give me drugs. Give me magical things. Mm-hmm. I'll take them. But
I'm sure you do.
Good week overall. And I didn't really do much. Like, we didn't even really watch much TV. We watched a movie and it was just a dumb one to throw on and then slept. I don't know, man. It was boring for stuff to talk about, but it was very busy. So it's good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Played some farming simulator because that lets me chill. Yeah. Doing some harvesting of wheat. Just relaxing. I love the tractors, man. I don't know why. There's something about them. They're so cool.
We saw, with the TV that we watch, there's a lot of, and I love the commercials. I think they're very, very, it's important to remember, but some of the War Amps commercials. And now because of the conversation you and I had a couple weeks ago about you wanting to ride on a tractor, I always think of you when I see those commercials, which is, it's not correct because it's me making fun of you. You'll be too fair. Basically I'm just making fun of you, but it's not a correct connection, not something that I should continue trying to connect, but it made me laugh while I was watching sports. While I was watching sports of all things, I'm thinking of Justin. So
that's kind of you. I like it.
Did has your guy contacted you yet about your lawn? Like, I was looking at the weather and it looks like winter's done.
He came and limed it yesterday or the day before. Yeah, he always texts me just to give me a heads up if I need to be worried about the kids or the dog. But liming, you don't have to. Whatever he uses, he says you don't have to be worried about it. But yeah, he came by and did that a couple of days ago. I have been like losing my mind every week we record. It's been like this for a long, long time. There's some noise that I just have always been bugged about in my recording, and I've never, I just haven't had time mostly to figure out what it is. I spent time on Friday. I was so mad after we recorded After Dark, and I found out what it is. And it's this second monitor that I have underneath my monitor. It's a touch screen monitor, which I don't know why I bought. I never used the touch function of it, but I just needed a little small one. And for some reason that is what's been doing. Not only there's like a really, really high, you'd never hear it in the recording because it's like 16,000 hertz. You'd never hear that part, but it's always bugged me. But there is this like hum that would happen, and I could see it in the wave, and I could not figure out what it was. Turns out it was this. So,
and is it because it's on? Is it because it's touchscreen?
It's just when it's on. I'm not really sure why it does it, and I just unplugged it today. I'll unplug it when we record and plug it back in afterwards, because you don't hear it really when you're in the room. But of course, when you're using sensitive mics and, you know, we try to make sure that the sound is good, it was driving me crazy.
Oh, sure. So it's nice to know those things.
Yeah, I found out what it was.
So for my daughter to start middle school, she needed a laptop, and you were very kind to give us Logan's old laptop. And so she's been using that, and she absolutely loves that it's touchscreen. It's not like she would ever know a screen that doesn't have a touchscreen, because you know, she wouldn't. But then she absolutely loves it even more, because my sad little Chromebook is not a touchscreen, and she loves that she got something that's better than mine. That's awesome. Just because it's a touchscreen, so it's better. Yep. So anyway, that's fun. Touchscreens are now a sensitive point in our family.
My laptop that I use for work, I got one that was not touchscreen. I don't ever use the touchscreen on computers. I don't really know why I bought it touchscreen. I thought I had in my head this idea that I would. I don't. I never touch it. So anyway.
Hey, it's only $3,000.
No, it's cheap too, so that could be why it's also doing a noise. I don't know. Maybe it's just something cheap inside of the monitor, but to hell with it. It's getting unplugged. George is getting upset. What do we got this week in PoE? I clicked this thing, and I was like, "What?" Our
note. Yeah,
and I was like, "Is this an old one? Why are there so many things?"
Right.
There's a lot of stuff this week.
Well, first, I'd like to say, it actually feels like GGG is back. It feels like they had a team meeting. Maybe this happened last week too. I
think we noticed it in the last week or two.
Yeah.
They.
I think they had a team meeting, and they're like, you know what? Let's take a deep breath. Let's get back to our roots. Let's have fun at work. And you know, like they just got back to what it was, because all of a sudden they're coming out with, as silly as it sounds, normal communication. They had, and for people that are new that came in with Path of Exile 2, so GGG this week came out with a boss versus boss video, where it's just they pick two random bosses. One of them is the Wrathbreaker that introduces you to Act 2, and the other one was Silverfist. Silverfist, that's open world boss that just shows up.
Act 3.
I don't know. Yeah. And so, but then they just take them, pit them against each other in whatever arena. And that used to be something they would do often enough with Path of Exile 1. Like they would do the epic, they would do like when they had, they've had like just battle royale, 10 bosses in one arena, and it'd be like best of 4 or best of 4, best of 5 or whatever it would be. And so they got back into that. Not like you're waiting for it, but you know, it just makes you feel like they're back. Yeah. And then they coming out with all these other different posts again. Yeah. It was like the old GGG pre-pressure.
Yeah, it was cool.
With the exception of the own pressure they always put on themselves for league launches and league starts and league prep, but felt like the old GGG was back. So if you had that team meeting GGG and kind of took a deep breath and are resetting yourselves, it's nice to have you back.
Yeah, we like it.
It's nice. So yeah, they had a busy week, but I mean, it was like art, and then they had the E-fix with 2.
Well, they had the E-patch with 2 fixes. Yeah. Also, my favorite thing on the E-patch is that you can now click, there's a button now with controller to actually turn on and off your loot filter. Because that was something that always bugged me, to be able to see what's hidden. Now you can actually press down on the left stick.
Pressing left stick. Good. That's what it was before. One thing I'm having a difficult time with, and it's not a criticism, it's just something to get used to, is especially having gone back and tried to play Path of Exile 1 with the zombies, with the puppeteer, buttons are very different. Sure. Especially when it comes to like identifying and moving items and even tabs, like it's all different. So I'm still I'm going to have a heck of a time going back to PoE 2 if the 0.2 patch is for me. But it's nice when the buttons are the same. So it's a little bit more natural for me when I've gone from controller to controller. So That's good. Yeah, I really like that too. I like seeing what the filter is and isn't doing.
Yep. It's nice to just have it, and it has not been there. And then the 2 fixes were good. They just fixed stuff that messed up. And then they had the snapshot one, which that was cool too. That's like old school GGG as well.
Oh, yeah, stats.
I like that.
See, yeah, me too. Now, I hope
okay,
that no, you go.
No, if you're,
I'm repetitive, man.
When I read that, or when I first opened it, what I first thought I was looking at was a roadmap, and I was like, they did one, and then I realized it was snapshots. So, which I'm still happy about, just slightly less, but it is cool that they have it.
So they have. I mean, there's what, 8 classes, or ascendancies?
6? No, there's 12, right? Because there's 6 classes,
right? Yep. And so the top 3 were the Invoker, Stormweaver, and Infernalist.
But they're all relatively close once you get down to like the Titan. And then it's just like nothing.
Yeah, that's right. And so but it makes me nervous because I hope that, like, you know, for me, having the horrendous start to early access that I did, not realizing for a while that it was actually the sorcerer and its leveling that was the issue. When I see the Stormweaver as tied for number 1, I'm like,
you're a little
man, please don't let that be blinded to the process. Like, you got to get there.
Yeah, I think it will still be fine.
But I know these stats are just for us, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they're talking about the amount of gold drop, the average player level, the amount of deaths that there's been. I love the pie chart of
all of
exactly. Them. Yeah, you feel bad for like the Acolyte of Chayula or the Warbringer, where you don't even get to see the image in the pie
just
chart,
like a
right?
sliver.
Yeah, I was happy to see the Chronomancer at only 2%.
You felt some vindication. You're like, yes,
a little bit.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's like, okay, let's try and level it. Let's see what's really wrong with this, and then they go through it.
Oh, this is only stats for 1 week worth of information. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, okay. They said that this 1 week stat accumulation was 1.5 terabytes of data.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that
was fun.
That's their setup. So
I like it.
It is what it is. Yeah. So it's exciting. I like seeing that stuff as well.
Oh, that's interesting too. They their little information where you talked about the 1.5 terabytes of data, but then since writing this post, we've improved our system so that the same data takes only about 115 gigabytes. So that's that's like 10%. Little under 10%.
Hopefully they have a way of consistently seeing this data over time so that they can
I'm sure they do
record it, and hopefully when you talk about how much data it is and how much work it is, it makes you feel like, this is a lot, so it's not something we get to do often. And I'm like, oh no, please do it often. Figure it out, please do it often.
I think they will. I think it's really cool. I'm glad that they are doing stuff like this. So it was fun to open up your This Week in PoE and actually see a bunch of stuff. So
yeah.
And
I still am apathetic to Path of Exile 1. So if there's been news or patches with Path of Exile 1, unless it's a big deal, it's not showing up in our notes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Path of Exile 1, that's what I've been, prior to our Archaea shipment, that's what I've been playing. So, yeah, but I'm still only putting down the PoE 2 news.
Ooh,
but yeah, it was cool to see GGG getting it done old school way. So it was nice.
And then they had the video for a teaser for 0.2.0, which was regarding tower changes and updates. Yeah. And that was cool that it's on there. I mean, I know that this is just a teaser, so my hope is this is like the smallest of cool changes, because this one doesn't excite me. Tower changes, they can now roll mechanics. I mean, that's kind of cool.
I heard they were getting a lot of flack for it before it was even released.
Well, I don't know.
It adds to the micromanagement. If I was reading it
Towers
correctly,
Towers always were a micromanagement of how you ran the Atlas. It still is a bit of a pain. My biggest concern with them doing this stuff is in the current game, to complete the tower, you just need to hit the precursor emblem at the end, and that's what activates the tower. And it didn't matter what else you did in the map, you just had to hit that. And it sounds like now it's going to function like a normal map. And not all of their layouts, some of their layouts are very good in the sense that they're linear, but in an area where you're just needing to hit that emblem so that you can activate the tower, if I have to chase rares now to find them, that's going to be super frustrating. Like that's not going to be.
And so that's part of the change is you have to beat all the rares before you can interact with the emblem.
I don't know if it's rares, but they did say the boss, like if you get one with a boss on it. And
but they're also rollable now, and I guess they weren't before.
Well, so maybe, well, you could always, I mean, you could always roll a waystone. I don't know what.
Can't hear you.
Oh, he's taking his headphones
off.
He's getting himself
putting
all
on my glasses.
ready.
I get my glasses. Fixing my hat. Headset. Continue.
All right. So you could always roll the waystones that you put into them. So I'm not sure what you mean by rollable, but
I don't know. I was reading it. I haven't bothered with Endgame yet.
There's
more criticisms than excitement for it in just the general community. I'm not like the game isn't exciting for me right now. So pushing to Endgame and doing that, I haven't even bothered with it yet. So
yeah, the Endgame is like it is fun, but this isn't a big change that makes the end. This definitely does not bring somebody back and go like, okay, now the Atlas is better. This is just. My concern is you've actually made it more frustrating because they were already frustrating in the sense that you would just throw in an unrolled low tier waystone just to get out of the way, run through, hit the emblem, and then you were done. You could put your stuff, you could hit the precursor, whatever, and you were done. But if you're making somebody chase down rares now in that it's not a great feeling. And also like they even showcased, they picked a weird map to showcase a breach. Because breach in a narrow map is a useless breach. Hitting a breach where there's like in a tower and you're just off this one little penis of the tower and you just get to run up that one shaft and then the breach is done. Like it's my best way to describe it to you so you understand. But you know what I mean? Like breach needs an open map. Why showcase that in there? It just seemed a little bit odd, but yeah, I mean, like I said, cool, but I'm hoping this is the least exciting of anything they're bringing for 0.2.0 because this just to me I don't know that it makes the Atlas necessarily better. It gives you a chance to have maybe more mechanics show up in the Atlas, but I don't know that I'd be running a tower for the mechanics. In the end, I want to just run the tower to hit that emblem. I feel like the way they should have done it where towers are just like boss fights. Like it's just an arena. Don't make me run through to hit this thing because all I want is to hit the thing. I just want it done because I'm going to use that now for all the other waystones I'm going to run. That's its only purpose. So we'll see. Like I said, hopefully they've got some more stuff up their sleeves, but.
So, I mean, obviously we're fans and we only know what we've been told. So we don't know what's up their sleeves, but put yourself in GGG's shoes. What's the benefit? What's the hope? The fun per hour of the change that they made?
The only thing I can think of is your waystones never had mechanics on them before. They were just their own thing. You just ran the tower. Now it can be affected by mechanics and it can have the little emblem, the little icons above it. But I'm not sure. Like if they change it to where it's a chase the rares, unless it's a boss one, and then it's chase the rares and kill the boss, some of those maps are not fun. Like the one that they showcased is not fun. The one that looks like an actual tower is not fun. You're running through all these tiny little corridors. And if I have to now do all of them, because I would just run through, hit the right until I got to the emblem and then I'm out. I'd be leaving. But now if I can't even hit that emblem until I run through all the rest of it, there's some new ones that they've made that are good. They're relatively linear. And I think they need to be linear. If the point of the map is to hit this icon or hit this tower that's built into the map, that shouldn't be the same type of maps they've been building, which are vast and broken up and there's different areas. Like I already don't like that, but don't do that in a tower map. Like that would be, I don't know. It would be very frustrating for me if I have to do the tower one specifically is a very bad map for chase the rares. It's just not a fun one to run. So if all of a sudden now they've changed it where you can't even touch the emblem until you've killed all the rares or found the boss, that's not making it funner. You've actually made it worse. But I don't know that that's what they're doing, but it sounds like they are. And that's going to be, I'm not sure that that's an improvement. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's a
So
weird
whoever
teaser for me.
thinks that is an improvement already enjoys the mapping process as it is, I would assume.
It feels like they are pretty committed to this idea of chase down the rares and or kill the boss as well if it's a boss map, which in some maps it's not bad, but it's just it definitely does not fit some of the maps. It's super frustrating to do some of the layouts, and my hope is that they're coming out with way more layouts in the end game. But I also have said too that I don't really want them spending a ton of time on endgame, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to see a lot of endgame changes with 0.2.0, but it could make towers worse depending on if what I'm thinking they're doing. Some of those layouts are not cool. I don't know what the solution is, because I think towers are such a weird thing that they've added. It's literally your only way to juice. That's the juicing. That's the scarabs, all the end game, juicing of waystones is done with those towers. I mean, you can still roll the waystones, but the towers is what you're doing to really juice them up and make them better. And that shouldn't be tedious. That shouldn't be, if you're going to do it, don't make it a struggle to do it. And it already is a little bit dumb. I like that they added new layouts. The new layouts were good, but I still was just rushing through them to hit the emblem, because the fact is that tower is not juiced, and that's not where I'm going to get my drops from. I'm just using that to give me the radius of now what I want to juice it with. So I don't know.
And you don't think some of that is just the mentality that it's just a normal map, but it needs to be done? Like changing the mentality of the user. Obviously, there's a different endpoint to it. You really want that click at the end. But if we change our mind to it's a map and it needs to be done, now it's treated like a normal map. Do you think that's just an attitude shift that the user needs to do? Or do you think that having it as maybe like a guaranteed boss point, how they were adding more bosses in one of the previous patches, maybe having these towers as just a guaranteed boss point? Like you said, you click, arena, go, defeat.
I think the problem is, so if you look at the Atlas, if I'm playing the Atlas and I've used towers to juice things up, there are some Atlas stone or locations that I won't run, because it tells you which map layout it is, like Val City, or I can't remember some of the other ones because it's been a while since I played, but there were some that I just did not like the layout. I don't like them, so I'm not going to do them. So I could skip them, right? Unless they just happen to get the RNG of all of the mechanics lined up on that one, so then I have to do it. But otherwise, I'll just skip it. You don't really want to do that with a tower, though, because the tower is what juices everything else. Like, it's this one central point that affects so many other map locations. And so if you make that one single point annoying to do, for me as the player, I'm wasting it. First off, I can't not do it, or I just go find a different area in the Atlas, which is kind of frustrating too. But I feel like it shouldn't be tedious to do that one point, because that one point is what's going to affect all the rest of my stuff. That's where I want to spend my time. I don't want to waste my time running through all these little random dead ends, so many dead ends and like weird loops to find where that one rare is, and then run all the way back to where I found the emblem to click it.
Especially if it's one of those dumb rares that's hiding underground and pops up, one of those base types.
Yeah.
So can you still get locked out of nodes on the Atlas?
No, the only one that you can get locked out of is the citadels. So if you fail a citadel, which is the currently Act 1, 2, and 3 bosses are inside of them. It's like iron, copper, and stone. Those are the only things where if you die, those are locked out. You can't rerun them.
But a normal waystone location, you can retry as many times as you want.
Yeah, it just loses whatever its modifier is. Yep, it just loses whatever its modifiers are.
So you lose the waystone.
You lose the little icons above it, which is the mechanics that will be within that map once you put a waystone in it. But the node on the Atlas doesn't disappear or become impassable.
And if you've done the tower, the benefits that you've assigned to the tower aren't erased if you have to redo.
Well, so yeah, the way towers work is when you complete them and hit the precursor emblem at the end, then you go back out of the map, and when you open up the Atlas, now the tower instead, when you click it, gives you a little pop-up, and that's where you place the emblem in. Mm-hmm. So you can do the tower as many times until you get that emblem clicked.
And then those benefits, though, of course, impact the radius around them.
Correct.
And that doesn't get erased when you have to redo one of the nodes where you put a waystone, right? One of
it does. So if I do a tower and I put in the breach emblem, right, and it says it's going to affect 10 maps in the area, and there's other things because you can roll those emblems up to blue. There's two ways it works. I finish the tower, I put the breach emblem in, and then randomly 10 of the maps, you'll see this little thing, 10 of the maps or Atlas nodes in the area will get a little breach symbol above it, right?
Okay.
In addition to that, though, whatever you rolled on the emblem also applies to that zone. So like maybe 10% more monsters in a breach and 10% quantity of items.
All right.
If I go and then do that Atlas node that's got the little breach symbol above it and I die, when I go back to do that Atlas stone area, which I can, it doesn't remove it, but it will remove the breach icon. That's now any modifier that was affecting is gone. However, all the blue stuff that was the written stuff, so like 10% more breach monsters and 10% increased quantity, that still stays. It's just that the actual mechanic of what will be in there is gone.
You get one try for that.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. And can you on the tower like add a different precursor?
Once you put it in, it's in. You can't change it.
All right. Interesting. Well, thanks for explaining that to me. I haven't bothered with Endgame yet. It hasn't been worth it for me yet, but I'm curious to see how it all functions when it is that it's worth my time to get there. So that is quite interesting. I am really excited about the concept of the kind of like this big open world delve style mapping system. It's cool that they add it to the core game. Like I always enjoyed delve to an extent in Path of Exile 1, but it was always disjointed and out of place. Not saying it didn't have its place and it wasn't beneficial to do, but it was a separate game that benefited the same character. So it's cool to have an element of that that's part of the, I don't know, I guess you could say canonical process. So it's cool.
It's fun. It's just because towers are such a key part of it. I hope they're not making them more tedious than they already are, because they are tedious. They were in such a weird spot even before this change, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if this. I don't know that it makes it worse, but I'm not sure it actually makes it better. It will make it worse if it's treated like a normal waystone and you have to kill all the rares. That is going to make me super annoyed because the layouts just aren't good enough for it. Now, that being said, some of their new ones, if you could buff those up, they'd be pretty fun, but only with certain mechanics. Like, so bluff, for example, is very similar to ledge in Act 1, a PoE 1. Great, linear run through the path. But there are so few mechanics in Path of Exile 2 that work well in a skinny, you can't fit expedition in there without it being dumb. I'll never reach them because they go in opposite directions of the detonator. Breach, you're missing out on like 80% of where these mobs could potentially spawn. What's the other ones we have? Expedition Breach.
Beyond's in it, isn't it? But that's a mod. But Beyond would work okay there. Delirium would work okay.
Delirium would work fine in there. I feel like there's
strong boxes, Justin.
Yeah, anyway, we'll see how it goes, but I hope they don't make towers more tedious, because in the end, the only purpose of that waystone is to get to the precursor emblem. I may be saying the wrong word, but the precursor tower buttony press a thing and it fires into the air. That's all I want. So hopefully they're not making that more annoying, but I'm excited to get back into it. I even debated this week, but I just don't want to. I'm going to drive my tractor.
Yeah.
I want to see 0.2. I want to play something new.
Yeah, so I'm curious what they do with 0.2, because they had some comments that I don't know what the answer is to the frustrating leveling experience, right? One thing that I think is extremely important is not whether it's a good idea to level with a certain skill or certain archetype, but whether you can. So, for example, in Path of Exile 1, it doesn't make sense to level with zombies, but I can. I'm just not doing it as fast as somebody with, more efficient choices, but it's not impossible to level with, well, Okay. After Act 2, it's not impossible to level with zombies, right? So same thing with Path of Exile 1. I'm really hoping that it's not impossible to level with whatever skill that they're making available with a level 1 skill gem. So hopefully they kind of had these comments where it was like, hey, we're adding a lot more supports. Hopefully this will help with but the impression that I got was hopefully this will help with the leveling process. So I'm curious to see if they're going to change the attributes or stats, I should say, of existing skills along with adding more supports. Curious to see if there's going to be those changes, but there's also a part of me where it's like, maybe it would be wise to leave the skills as they currently are. If they're already insisting on adding more supports, which I mean, we know they were going to, but whether they were going to for this one or another one, it's up to them. But if they're going to be adding supports with this patch, the 0.2, maybe it'd be interesting for them to see if, okay, let's leave the stats of the current existing active skills the way they are. And maybe the sucky skills just need better supports that go with it.
Did you read the thing? Because it sounds like you're speaking their language. Because so they put a thing out that said in 0.2 update for Path of Exile 2, we're adding a lot of new support gems with an emphasis on skills that are lacking support gem options. Did you watch that video?
Yeah, I did. But that was like early in the week and I haven't rewatched it.
I just saw it today.
Okay.
I have to say one. Okay, you finish.
Say it.
Go ahead.
You say it because I can go on.
So can I. I'm laughing. It was cool. I like that they're bringing out new supports. I thought it was really cool. I read through some of them. And then they get to the last one. Let me just read this one for you. It's going to be called Commiserate. Are you ready?
I am. I didn't look at any of the supports.
All right. Well,
just read what they said.
Explain this one to me.
Okay.
Ailments inflicted by supported skills have 30% increased magnitude if you are afflicted with that ailment when inflicting it. When inflicting an ailment with supported skills, remove that ailment. When inflicting an ailment with supported skill, remove that ailment from yourself. Come on, it sounds like one of those Peter Piper picked a peck up, like I started reading through that and I was like, what the fuck? Jesus.
It sounds weird because it sounds like it's a one-hit thing. So if I'm going to shock somebody, or if I'm going to get all this bonus damage, if I'm going to get this increased magnitude, I have to be shocked when I'm shocking them to get that 30%. But then when I shock them, it removes the shock from me.
Yeah. I don't
so
like
that
to think
magnitude better be well worth the constant requirement of, now I need to shock myself. Now I need to shock myself. Now I need to shock myself. If I heard what you said
maybe it
correctly.
works well with certain uniques, like maybe with bleeds, like where you are bleeding, maybe that 30%. I don't really know, but I don't like to have to think that hard when I read the support.
Justin likes.
I read through 30% that and I was like,
of damage is added.
Thank you. That's exactly what I want.
Right. Increased movement speed.
But make it simpler. So embitter. If supported skills would gain extra damage of any other type, they gain extra cold damage instead. Got it. Makes sense.
Right.
I can read that one.
I wonder if that stacks. Like if you had extra fire and extra cold, extra fire and extra lightning.
I would think
both of those add as extra cold.
Volcanic eruption. Yeah. Supported skills trigger volcanic eruption on hitting ignited enemies. Got it. I read through some of them. What's the one more that they had? Derange. First off, good job. Good choices on names. I like that. Commiserate and derange. Supported skills gain an energy shield cost equal to your intelligence. Supported skills deal 8% more non-ailment damage over time per 100 intelligence. Okay. Not as got it, but at least understandable.
Sure. Yeah, at least you're walking away with that thinking, in stacking, damage benefit. Okay.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, what happens if you're like a super high, I don't even know why you do this, but you play a super high intelligent character with blood magic? If it gains an energy shield cost equal to your intelligence, could you still gain the benefit and just not have to worry about that additional cost then?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, I don't know why you would do that, but maybe.
Cool.
It was cool because it was a chaosy spell. I was like, at first I thought, oh, Ty might like this, but then I didn't really read much into it. I just thought it looked cool because it looked like they were doing it with a chaos spell. But they are coming out with support, so that's cool. Like that, that was more exciting to me than the tower thing.
Yeah, I think so too, because this is, I mean, it's been 3 months. We're talking the beginning of December now, and we're getting into the beginning of March. So I guess 2.5 months, I should be more specific, but 2.5 months with really playing the same game build, not character build, but like it's really with, there's been some changes, sure, but at the end of the day, people haven't had a change of options. It's been 2.5 months, 6 weeks of these are your options. We'll fix a few things, right? We've made some tweaks in endgame, but in terms of character power, character options, you've had the same options for 6 months.
Which I'm fine with if 0.2 brings a big change, because I don't care. I don't really care how long they take. I think they should take as long as they think they need to take, but they need to make sure that every time these patches come out, that that they're fun, that there's something big changing in them, especially if they're going to take this long, which I imagine
something
they're going
that they
to
benefit from. And so hopefully they're not nervous about using 1.5 terabytes of data to go through. Hopefully that wasn't the point of that. But yeah, so I'm not sure. Like I'm curious to see if they're going to be changing the stats of the current active skills along with adding supports. Some of the skills that I was using that people were making fun of me for using, that should at the end of the day be viable. Whether they're viable now or not is just part of the early access process. But I had plenty of options already. So hopefully at the end of the day, that still gets tweaked to the point where if I'm using those skills with those supports, it's still going to be viable through the leveling process. I shouldn't need this one over another one when they all seem great. You know what I mean? So
of the ones I read, only one looks like a good leveling one, like the volcanic fisher one. I could see using those ones with melee. The other two, like per 100 intelligence, is not a leveling support.
And I'm with the builds the few times that I mean, it's been a bit since I played, but I was scraping for attributes throughout the process. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, now I need that. Oh, no, now I need strength. Oh, no, now I need it. Because the item requirements didn't really match the gem requirements too well. And so I'd be finding that, yeah, I'd have enough int for my gems and my supports, but I didn't have enough int or strength for my scepters. You know what I mean? The scepter strength is going up. I only needed this. And you're only getting 5, when you're going through. So I'm curious if maybe they're even going to go back to like a +10 system instead of a +5 system for the attribute highways.
Oof, +10 will be crazy.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're talking about with the scepters, but they did at least cap out at like 34 or something, but it was, or 42, but it was still, you had to find that strength. So I do agree with you. It always seemed odd to me that I needed strength for a minion. Like I was playing, it didn't really totally make sense, but
considering it makes sense from when you have, your int based weapons, your strength int based weapons, your strength weapons. Like I get that. But when you add spirit, which is primarily int, you add that to scepters instead of wands or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's where the natural conflict arises. So now naturally I need to have 9 strength nodes. As a pure int player, I need to have 9 strength nodes on the tree for my scepter.
I didn't find it too bad end game stuff, but yeah, beginning was was a little hard. Although I do appreciate that you can very easily just change the travel nodes instead of having to respec your tree to go in a different direction to get, say, strength, for example. Now you can just swap over an int node to a strength. Like that is a very, it makes the building of your character a lot nicer. So how's PoE 1?
Woodpecker's back.
Is it? We had one the other day.
And it's on this side of the house this time too.
And my kids had heard you talking about it. And Christina.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Listen, woodpecker, just get laid, okay?
I can't hear it, so that's good.
Just find your mate and get laid.
It is. Anyway. It's working on your steam pipe or whatever's coming out of your house. How's the puppeteer? How's PoE 1 going?
So it sucks, but it's fine. Like the suckiness isn't indicative to what it is. It's just I'm puppeteer.
Okay.
Ascending's so much easier in Path of I hate that I prefer lab over the Path of Exile 2 experience. It is so frustrating. But yeah, like I'm leveling fine. It's zombies, and I love that I'm the guardian instead of the witch, because I've always had a little bit of a hard on for the guardian instead of the witch instead. I don't know why, or instead of the necro. It is going to hurt a lot. Like the amount of damage I'm not getting as the necro, there's no way +4 zombies.
What do you mean just because of how much travel you have to do on the?
No, like the tree's fine, but the ascendancy itself had like, I don't know, 80 to 100% extra increased damage on the tree. I'm not getting any of that with the puppeteer. There's no damage except for the +4 to minion or to zombie. But zombies suck. Like
that +4 didn't make them monsters?
Well, I'm not +4 yet. I only got the first ascendancy, but I went the non zombie route first. So that I can get the natural cull, that 20% life reserved, and then also the energy shield. Because I also
do you think that's the better option early on versus just going straight for
because I don't want my zombies as corpses. Not until my build's set up do I want my zombies as corpses. Like, you know how we joke around that like there's somebody at GGG that's just paid to have a mod of the day. And they just hit a button. It's like, this is the mod of the day, whether you're rolling maps or whether the enemies that are rolling.
What mod could roll that affects corpses?
Well, so I'm leveling and whatever. I'm having a great time. I'm used to PoE 1 and, well, I'm not having a great time. I'm having a monotonous time. We've both mentioned a million times we hate leveling in Path of Exile 1. But I'm going through and I'm doing the process and I can't. It was like that one day where I played for 4 hours straight. Every single magic
those mods
was life regen. Right. Every single one. Didn't matter what it was. It was life regen. Every single one had it. And it was so frustrating. So anyway, going through and playing, and it's just. But then, no joke. Did they increase the amount of rares in that game? That sounds familiar. Like a year ago, half a year ago, something like that. I don't know what it was, but there were so many rares in that game, and I swear that whoever was hitting that button was like, every strong box detonates corpses. Every rare is just like, I'm running around, I'm in Act 4, it's like, all of a sudden I'm like, and I'm like, I know that sound, but there's got to be a rare somewhere within 20 screens of me. So I'm like, I'm seeing it too much. So that made my choice for me easy once I got halfway through Act 3 to ascend. So I'm doing that for later anyway. And the zombies are fine. Well, summon phantasms are fine. The zombies aren't doing anything.
But there's no other changes, fine. Right? It's just the ascendancies and then end game.
Yep. That's
there's some sort of
so there's
change
nothing to the process. It's just different ascendancy choices and then the end game. You're right. So I've done the one ascension. I'm going through, but I'm not playing every time I have an opportunity to. Like, it's tough to motivate myself. Like, the puppeteer isn't enough for me. Because I know zombies suck, so I would just be doing it for fun. But then I know it's not going to be great, and so that I'm going to go back to something like the Reaper, and then I'm going to unspec out of those 2 zombie nodes and go into 2 different puppeteer nodes, and it's going to be great, right? And then I'm going to enjoy it more. So that still doesn't have as motivation, but because PoE 2 is the improvement to Path of Exile 1. Like, it's different when you have 325 and the only possible improvement to something that, sure, you're enjoying it, but like Path of Exile 1, like I've said, has always been a love-hate relationship for me, right? But the thing that could keep you going is the next league could come out with those fixes, those things, especially when Mark seemed to take over, and it's like you have like just walking near a waypoint unlocks it, like just all those little things. Like, you never know what they can come up with. So there was that hope that would keep you there, but it was still enough to keep you there. But now the improvements to my Path of Exile experience are no longer in Path of Exile 1. They're in Path of Exile 2. So I care even less about this ascendancy. You know what I mean? Because I'm not like, okay, I'm going to try it out, and then it's just dead. Then all that time is just there. I'm not going to play it again. And because I'm a standard player, I like using these characters. When I'm done with them, I like playing in the core experience. It's not I don't get the joy from, oh, sweet, let's try this out. Oh, it didn't work. There goes 50 hours of my time. To me, like, that's not like, oh, cool. To me, that's like, oh, that was a lot of time, for not to work. I could have done something else. So it's been good. It's been fine, but I'm not motivated to play. So I'm having to like suck it up and be like, you know what? Let's just give it a shot. Let's go and have a good time. So the zombies being as corpses has changed quite a lot with how I interact with the game, the skills that I can and can't use, and where I'm going with that. And it definitely, as I mentioned, impacted when I was ascending and what I was ascending with as well. But one thing that I should bring up, because like I said, I'm kind of moving on from Path of Exile 1, is it's reminded me, even though I'm not having a good Path of Exile 2 experience now, I know that eventually I will when those changes come, but there's still a lot in Path of Exile 2 that I appreciate compared to Path of Exile 1. And
Sure.
I made a list.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
I don't know. Am I? Go for it.
Yes. Actually, one criticism to Path of Exile 1, this is specific to 325. The settlers mechanics, you know, those things I have to interact with, I don't know, there's like the 4 or 5 different things you get for the ores that you interact with.
Mhm.
Some of them have like those flowers and other obelisks
Things
or
happen to
whatever.
the mobs around them. Yeah.
You can get stuck. They can still spawn in doorways, and that's the only door that you can go through. I had to reset, and I'm only on Act 4 right now, but up until, this was before sending, I had to reset 3 separate instances because the league mechanic literally blocked me through the only door that I could go through to progress.
Oh, that's annoying.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
But how long has that league been out?
Yeah, it's fine. Just reset. You'll be fine. But okay,
Well,
you're doing your
luckily,
list. Give me
here we
1
do.
second
So, yes.
before you do. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, I'm back. And I just opened up his list. This is going to take a minute. Just waiting on Ty. Christina just sent me a picture of Sophia
Okay,
out
send
on
it to me.
on the field trip. And my daughter was
nice.
so happy that her mom was coming. So anyway,
That's really cool.
go ahead. Tell me your list.
Things I appreciate about the sequel, though I still don't find the sequel worth my time.
Okay.
That's the
Mhm.
title. Not needing to find crafting recipes in the world.
Yep. Agreed.
I hate how crafting recipes unlocked in
That
Path
being
of
said,
Exile 1.
That you don't have them in Path of Exile 2 at all. So it kind of like,
Right.
I still would rather have them for some of the things. Like being able to throw on a resist was nice.
Oh, yeah.
I missed
The
that.
crafting itself would
Yeah.
be nice, but
Having to
I'm
find them or
not
miss
in Path
them or
of
whatever.
Exile 2. I didn't miss something.
Got it.
There wasn't anything missable in terms of crafting.
Mhm.
Jeweler's orbs. I appreciate that there are no jeweler's orbs. That right
Well-
off the bat, right off the bat, I'm given 2 supports. I can play with 2 supports.
Right. There
off
are
the bat
jeweler's
for
orbs,
every single skill.
But
yes,
they don't.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
later. Mhm.
But I like that I have support options right off the bat, and even the colors, the chromatics,
yeah, I love
chromatic
that.
orbs. That is I really like how they did that.
Mhm.
Because all it takes is one more level to get that extra +5. I love how they did that whole support color system.
Agreed.
Doing okay?
Yep.
Skills and supports gated behind which class I start as is no longer a thing. I can use any skill. Whereas in Path of Exile 1, the class I started as did actually limit me. There were certain supports and skills that I did not have available until Act 6. Even Act 3 didn't unlock them all
Not
with
all of them.
Siosa.
Mhm.
So I do like that I have access to everything currently. I mean, who knows what it's going to be like when all the skills come out. Maybe they'll find it too overwhelming and need to change something, but I currently like that. I can't tell you how many times I tried to dodge roll in Path of Exile 1,
yeah, that's gonna
thinking
be
like
me.
I'm in the middle of a pack and I'm like, how do I get out? How do I get out? Oh, right. I haven't even unlocked quartz flasks yet. Right. And I'm starting to remember my old system and I'm like, I can't tell you how many times, even just like in town. Like I would want to like do this, but then I'd like
roll.
B as I'm like going from a waypoint
Right.
to the next monster area. Though I do wish flasks still gained charges at stages and boss fights in Path of Exile 2.
Right, you can
now
roll it.
seems-
You can roll it where it flasks gain 0.15 or 0.2 charges per second.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do while leveling, but yeah, you can. I love getting revenge on an enemy in Path of Exile 1, right? It took a
'cause
while to get
it
used to
doesn't
the
re-roll
prospect
the map.
that
Yeah.
it doesn't re-roll the map. The enemies are still there, but even bosses don't reset. But
Yep.
what I love in Path of Exile 2 is that bosses and areas do restart on death.
Bosses,
like that.
yes. Areas, I'm iffy. It's only helpful for leveling, but it is not helpful to me for learning. I can't figure out
it's-
what killed me because it's gone.
Yes, from the learning prospect, GGG needs to do a better job at that for sure. But one thing, like in Path of Exile 1, I was playing and I'm like, oh, a chromatic dropped. I need to pick it up before I die. Because
yeah, right.
I was under the impression that it was going to disappear if I died. And so I started remembering, I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, I like that hardcore aspect. Now, again, that's just in the leveling prospect. Haven't been to end game, but so far that's what I like. Path of Exile 2's monster highlighting, so which bar is at the top of your screen for rares and normals, having their health bar show up on screen is so much better in Path of Exile 2. Just, you don't, especially on controller, you don't have to be as finicky with where you're aiming. Like, there could be one monster on the screen and I'm facing that monster, but it's not at like the correct 1/64th angle. And so in Path of Exile 1, I'm like, I don't even see the mods.
You know what's annoying though with controller is when you die, there's no ability to mouse over. Like with controller, you could move your mouse. Oh, sorry, with keyboard and mouse, I can move my mouse to see what the modifiers are. What they should just do is when you die, just keep those health bars of any rares that were around you at the top so that I could look through them. That would be super helpful. If they just stayed at the top after I was dead, then I could re-look at what those modifiers were.
I think if they came out with a default radius and just while you're within that radius, those rares had permanent health bars like a boss, but it was just because they were within your radius.
That'd be awesome.
It would make the screen look cluttered, but I would rather have the information.
Yeah, 100%.
Also, if you have 12 rares on the screen at once, that's GGG's fault. If you got to figure that out.
I mean, that would look pretty cool though.
But it would be also neat to see like the bars all ticking down at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
GGG. Do it.
Yeah. I want to see that in 0.2.
Enemy skills disappear when the enemy dies is something that I love in Path of Exile 2. Obviously, that's not with the on-death effects that they intentionally have, but all the, agreed. But all the other skills that used to be almost like on-death effects. You know what I mean? Like you're fighting Gravitius and his firestorm's coming down for 8 hours still after he's dead. Well, that doesn't happen in PoE 2 anymore, and I really like that. And that's a recent thing too. That was one of their, I think that was the
it didn't come out with the release. It came out later.
No. Ease of skill setup, we already touched on. Love that. Just super easy. GGG is attempting to make off-screen damage less of a thing, hopefully not a thing, but they have emphasized. No,
but it's definitely better than PoE 1.
It's a written concept that they're emphasizing when they make a change that is for. Whereas in Path of Exile 1, it was just middle fingers everywhere. Like, who cares?
It's coming. Right? You're getting it.
And there's controller fine-tuning in the options menu. That was one complaint that I had in PoE 2. Yes. That was one complaint that I had as a console player versus a controller PC player with the first game. On PC, I had dead zone options. I had sensitivity options. There were controller options that were good, right? Based on the kind of controller that I had. Whereas on console for the same game, I didn't have those options. And now in Path of Exile 2, because it's a unified experience, I have those options and I quite like it. So that's quite a good list of things from someone that doesn't even like the current experience of Path of Exile 2.
You missed a big one that I'm surprised is not on your list, which is cross-platform. Like being able to just swap between computer or your Xbox if you want to. I know you primarily play on your Xbox, I think, for probably PoE 1 is where you're playing. But
yeah, I guess I didn't think of that because of the... I wasn't playing with anyone. I'm normally solo self-bound. But the cross-platform, just for the sake of being able to play with you and Aaron, no matter what I'm doing.
And you get to see 21. Like,
yeah, I do actually really like that. Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. That is a big one as well. Yeah, let me type that in.
Just add it for next week.
So that's cool. It was a good week to remind me about how much I really like about the sequel that I'm currently not enjoying. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I just can't wait for any patch to come out, of course. But I'm really excited for the patches that have the opportunity to, I don't know, let me enjoy the game.
Pull you back in and give you some fun per hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun per hour. They should have that, like a big poster. Fun per hour, right up there.
You can probably get it on some of... I was reminded this week that we have a merch store. I didn't even remember. And then I saw people were buying stuff. I was like, oh, right. So I went and looked through that stuff. I actually bought the notepad. That was me.
That was you buying the notepad with the ugly face?
I bought it through our system, not even as a sample. I bought it like right from our store. And yes, I love it. Also, if you ship to the States, which we can do, way cheaper. Holy shit. The shipping to Canada is like what else am I getting with this thing? Like, it's insane. It was more expensive to ship than it was to buy the item. But anyway, yeah, we have merch.
Imagine if this tariff war, imagine if the tariff war between us right now, the States and Canada, ended up getting on shipping costs somehow.
Well, I mean, in the end, everything goes up, but it doesn't even matter. The worst part for us is our dollar sucks. It's awful. So everything's way more expensive. But I looked through our merch. I liked it. Like somebody bought one of the hoodies and I liked it on the back. It actually says something about lawn.
Yeah, I used to have a reminder for myself to go through and add a product every week or make some modifications to something. But
you did a good job.
We'll see.
All right, we got to wrap this up. Forever Exiled 282. I'm Justin AK Tags.
I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, we love your faces. Nope, that's well we do. But patrons, we'll see you in After Dark. Everybody else will see you next week in 283. If you're looking for more information, you can find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We have the best Discord. You should be in there. Come and say hello. And also, it gives Tyler and I a competition to see who can say welcome first. And Patreon are the way to support